My neighbor added this porch, and you can see how hard that clay is, and we use some of that clay to make up a soil to plant our water lilies. We've got some 8-inch pieces of cinder blocks that we're going to put in the pond to sit these tubs on. I had to make another box. My sifter box that I've used at our house has worn itself out, and so this morning I made another sifter box. I've got it on there right now because all these cattails from the different trees around here falling into our new soil. And you need clay for lilies. They like a clay soil, mostly a gray clay. We have some gray and some marbleized and some reddish. And we took that screen. It was big hard blocks you can see in the first part of the video. And we took that screen, laid it on top of this wheelbarrow, and actually laid two 2x4s inside the screen. And we took this 2x4 and we put all the clay up here and broke it up to go through the wire on that screen. We broke it up by smashing it and letting it go through the screen because we had that on top of here. And we brought some compost from our home, and we had some clay residue. This is how bad this stuff was. That's what we haven't used. That is our rhizomes and the lilies we plan on planting. And yesterday we thought maybe we could dissolve it with some water. Well, that didn't work out too well. It just became mud, and there's a little bit of that mud in the bottom of these pans. Now these little cattails are falling in here in 10 minutes. And you don't want anything in this that will float. Now right now this is a clay soil, and if you dig down in there a little bit you can see some of that clay mud that was in there. And we are letting that compost and pieces of clay that we mixed up in this wheelbarrow, which you can see, and we're letting that soak up that moisture. And then you'll lay the rhizomes in here in the corners, and then you will cover it with more of this soil. And then you'll take sandbox clay that you buy for a child's sandbox, and you put it on top of it and pack it down, each layer of soil and the sand, and then you put fertilizer tablets in it. You can use powdered granulated fertilizer for ponds. That way you'd put a little soil granulated, some soil granulated fertilizer, some soil, and then you put your rhizome in here and you put soil on it, and then you could put fertilizer on top of it, but you don't want the roots to ever touch the fertilizer direct, so you'd have a layer of soil between the roots and the fertilizer. And then you finish it off by putting sand on the top. And then, alright, we've sorted through our lilies. This one we cut off a piece of it, and you got a lot of leaves growing, and you've got a lot of roots. And what you want to do is put this in the corner and get your leaves coming back this way, and just put a little bit of soil in that corner for it to lay on, so that it's like that. And this one is the same way, except it's a longer rhizome on it. And I think this might be a bud, a crown. And that's a crown. And there's the roots. And then you'll just cover all these roots with some more soil. This has some clay in it. And you'll get some soil up around these little tender white roots, because you don't want to lose them, because they will be all your real big roots not too long. And then with this one, you just want to bring up soil to that crown without particularly covering it up, because this only has a very few leaves on it and some coming up. And then, whoops, I hit the camera. My bride's doing the camera work. And you want to get some soil even in this, about where you want it, without making it too heavy, because it's hard on your back to put it in. And then to keep this stuff from floating up, because the rhizomes, when they have a lot of leaves on them, will actually suck up oxygen from the leaf production, and the rhizome will get more buoyant. And what you will do is you will take a bag of play sand and put on top of this, and you pack this down really good. I just want to keep those little new roots covered. And then you'll pack this down really good, fairly even, so that the sand will be about the same all the way around. And you just put sand on it. Now we'll slip over here and keep running. And now we've got them packed ready for the sand. And this has 4 crowns on it, so you just need to get all these leaves up and get sand under all the soil, so the sand, and this has been packed down, and then the sand will be packed down. And then when you immerse this in water and let water edge over the side, and once it's full, just put it in the pond, just put it down. We're going to put it on blocks, and all these leaves will float, and leaves will go to the surface. And then this one, when you put sand on it, you'll see it's a lot of leaf growth on this one. You'll just have to pull this up to put sand around it. And this one only has 1 leaf showing, but it's got a decent crown, so it should get some more leaves. So we'll come back when the sand is in the pots. Well, these are planted. We water them down just a little bit to settle everything. Now when you use the pots with the perforated sides on it, it's really hard to hold sand to it. And the next thing we have to do is use plant food tablets. That's one brand. You get 60 of them. I think 2 packs of this was about $37 delivered. You really can't find them locally. And these need to be 3 inches from the crown and 3 to 6 inches in the soil. When you do this 3 inches from the crown, you push them down 3 to 6 inches, and that's like 3 inches. That's a little tablets. So that's about 3, and that's about 3 from the crown, and that's about 3 from the ground. That's 3 from the ground. That's 3 from the ground. And it's 1 per gallon. These are almost 3 gallons, and these are about 1 gallon. So we're only putting 1 in it. And you need to do it whenever the water is above 60 degrees. And you do it, if you want these things to flower, you got to use fertilizer. You can get occasional flowers, but if you use these fertilizer tablets, they also make powdered fertilizer for this that you put in layers in your soil so that the roots can get to it. But if you will put these tablets, just aquatic plant food tablets, in here, it's now warm, the water's warm. We filled this up yesterday, so it would be coming up to temperature from well water, and by putting these in there, they will blossom. And then you got to do it every 3 to 4 weeks to keep them blossoming, because they are heavy feeders and they will eat up the fertilizer. And you don't really want them to come in direct contact with the dry fertilizer. If there was a giant root ball down there, I wouldn't particularly want to put one of these on it, but it really wouldn't hurt. And my bride's just filling up the holes with sand, because it is a dry tablet, and if you didn't weight it down, it would float out. And now we got to put them in the pond, and the big ones are definitely a bit of a problem, because we've got to sit them on those tubs without turning them upside down, and we do have different things. As you can see that the bubbles slowly coming out of them. We put the 2 little ones in first on 2 other blocks that we put in there, and then we put that one in, and we put this one in, and we've got a little bit of stuff floating on the surface. But if you would use some kind of potting soil with all the little white pieces of inert matter in it, perlite, my bride reminds me, it would all be floating in this pond like popcorn, and it would be a mess. And another thing, you don't want to get the leaves to dry out, and that's why we took them out of the water and put them in these pots pretty quickly. And if you were going to delay putting them in the pond, you need to keep them wet. Spray them with a hose constantly, and when you put them in the pond, you want to make sure that they stay wet. So this pond doesn't get as much sun as it should for lilies, because they require fertilizer and a lot of sun. The more sun and a steady diet of proper fertilizer, and they will flower. Now, this is something we've been wanting to do for quite a while. That's some of the muck that was in one of the little containers. That's some of the sand, because the sand will fall through those holes in the tubs. And that's my new, I needed a new one of these for quite some time. I had a knot there and it did split there. This will ride on the wheelbarrow. And I cut down 2 salt treated, that's all salt treated. And I shaved these down with a spoke shaver. Made handles that won't cut your hand. And then these are put in every 3 inches with deck screws to hold the wire in place. And I'll have a new sifter box, and we went to a little bit larger wire. It'll make sifting my compost a lot easier and faster.